What is up, Drama Alert Nation? It is me, the autistic weirdo who likes stupid things. I'm going to show you a portion of my D&D timeline. I'm basically going to summarize it, specifically the prehistoric world wars between the lost continents and advanced civilizations of Atlantis and Lemuria. Uh, there's probably more to add to that list of world wars between the two continents, but this is what I have collected thus far. Some of it is kind of a stretch. It kind of infers me taking someone's prehistoric civilization bullshit and saying, well, wouldn't they have also controlled Lemuria? Like, there's an example of that. But first, I want to show you just the first part of an MF Doom song that kind of resonates with my idea of the kind of cataclysmic cycles of this sort of Atlantis type mythology.
Born like this, into this, as the chalk faces smile, as Mrs. Death laughs, as political landscapes dissolve, as the oily fish spit out their oily prey. We are born like this, into hospitals which are so expensive that it's cheaper to die, into lawyers who charge so much it's cheaper to plead guilty, into a country where the jails are full and the madhouses closed, into a place where the masses elevate fools into rich heroes. Born into this, walking and living through this, dying because of this, castrated, debauched, disinherited because of this. The fingers reach toward an unresponsive God. The fingers reach for the bottle, the pill, the powder. We are born into this sorrowful deadliness. There will be open and unpunished murder in the streets. It will be guns and roving mobs. Land will be useless. Food will become a diminishing return. Nuclear power will be taken over by the many. Explosions will continually shake the earth. Radiated men will eat the flesh of radiated men. The rotting bodies of men and animals will stink in the dark wind. And there will be the most beautiful silence never heard. Born out of that. The sun hidden there, awaiting the next chapter.
So yeah, this video now is owned by MF Doom. But basically, that's kind of what happens when you collect. Shut up, Teddy. That's kind of what happens when you collect all of these myths into one big thing, and every piece of fiction you can find about it. Is your timeline kind of becomes. It kind of becomes the cycle of, okay, so there's all these civilizations that pop up. Most of them are like, Stone Age or Bronze Age or Iron Age or Copper Age or whatever the fuck. Or Calcum Age, they can have red metal, they can all sorts of shit. But occasionally, some of them achieve weapons of mass destruction, and they inevitably fuck everything up. Someone fucks everything up, and then to me, it's not like everyone dies. It's like a lot of people die, and all the countries go bye-bye, and the people move, and because I don't want to have like, there's no fantasy in me for like the complete extermination of some race of people. That's just gross. Uh, but it's okay if their countries explode and their continents. So let's see about that. Here's the earliest one I could find. This is from the sort of Vietnam era kind of Lovecraftian alien horror tabletop role playing game and miniature line, Black Sun, which is by did I name them? Or did I name where the source is? I don't think I did, but that's okay. So basically, humans were Atlantis, and they were really advanced. And then there were dinosaur time reptile mans who led Lemuria, which also controlled parts of Asia. And they basically they had advanced science, but also metaphysical, so like weird super magics shit and weird. And their science wasn't like ours; it was very alien and much more powerful than us. And basically, uh, a cataclysm destroys both of their civilizations. They both did it to themselves in war or something, and an ice age comes along, uh, leaving one city in Cambodia under the city of Angkor Sek, which sounds like Angkor Wat but isn't, which the Lemurians called Tau Tau because they are lizard people, and it has a living jewel. Um, Once used to alter space and time, this breathes and creates dimensional rifts at intervals by altering space time, which leads to the Black Sun, which I'm probably going to lump in with my Shadow Realm, but that's okay. Um, more the merrier. And it's just really fucking cool. It's very strange and weird. And I looked at their miniature line. I don't think I saw any like, oh, here's our Atlanteans, here's our Lemurians, which is a shame. I guess it's just the backstory or whatever. The second Lemuro-Atlantean War has a very sad origin. There's some cult leader, like anti-Semite, homophobe, horrible white woman who has like a weird cult in California or something. And so she's like, oh yeah, I have a divine ancestor from caveman times, Ramtha, and he's like, it means the god, and he tells me things, and he went on a war during geologic changings, and it's like, okay. But she's just a cunt. So basically, I just make fun of Ramtha. I bully him. I make sure that he dies a horrible death. And then at the end of that war, as the Earth is shifting and the empires of Ramtha's Atlantis and or no, Ramtha is from Lemuria. He's fighting Atlantis, I think. I don't know. Wait, let me see. Ramtha. Yeah, he's Lemurian. Yeah, he's like a Lemurian messiah, but he's a whore. And then basically he at the war ends with Ramtha, conqueror and scholar of the world, leading his army to the Indus River Valley in India and also Pakistan, teaching his 2.5 million soldiers what he knows for 120 days, and ascends in front of them, promising to come back to teach them what he's learned. His army is then slowly picked apart, division by division, uh, uh, by by non-Lemurian enemies of Ramtha, who brought together a loose alliance of nations of Eurasia and Atlantis with one goal in common: kill Ramtha's vile raiding horde and burn his idols and scriptures. A divine jihad against Ramtha's crusade. So Ramtha, he's a bitch. He just abandoned his army of like 2.5 million people, and they all died, basically, or almost all of them. And also, here's the first Great War, World War between Lemuria and Atlantis, that begins as soon as it ends. So that's a little ominous. First and last year of the Third Lemuro-Atlantean Great War between the imperialistic Atlantean sons of Belial. These are the Atlanteans of Edgar Cayce. He helped popularize that the Bimini Road was Atlantis and stuff. And the anti-imperialist Cayce Lemurians. The last year, it's also the last year of the Cayce Atlanteans, the sons of Belial. These Atlanteans, because basically Anunnaki aliens came and turned these like nice guys into assholes, and then began arguing with the Lemurians over how to rule Earth, with Atlantis wanting to rule all other tribes and civilizations alongside the Lemurians. So this is something I've seen come up in a few different versions of this story, where the Atlanteans, even though they're very imperialist, like, oh, we're going to rule the world, they're like, hey, Lemurians, you're with us, like, you should help us. But the Lemurians, and this happens at least one or two other times, the Lemurians wanted peace and for the people to self-develop and ordered the Sons of Belial to leave them alone. So the Sons of Belial plan a nuclear bombardment and war of Lemuria. The bombs fall, erupting underground belts of gas fields. That's a fake thing that Edgar Cayce made up, killing more than 60 million Lemurians. Actually, that might be a detail from some other guy that's added on to the Edgar Cayce stuff. The survivors flee to Agartha in the underworld and war with Atlantis, but the nuclear destruction made the Earth unstable, resulting in such further destruction that Atlantis too is destroyed, shifting the poles and axis of the Earth, destroying the continent of Atlantis, and the survivors also flee to Agartha. So basically, the Atlanteans fucked around. They killed 60 million people. So one of the worst mass deaths of human beings ever. And then their own continent got subducted or whatever. And So that's just horrible. That's just horrible for everyone. But at least some of them made it to the underground continent of Agartha, where they can have fun and be happy. Oh god, here's another one. This one is insane. First of all, where did I learn about this one? Okay. So there's a book called Revelations of the New Lemuria, written by a woman named Aurelia Louise Jones. I haven't read it, but I have. I basically, how do I put this? I I've sourced things from many different sources, and sometimes I stitch them together and find, okay, this is where these ideas come from, because I just Googled basic ideas. And this Aurelia lady made up one of the most insane Lemuro-Atlantean world wars I've ever heard. So, also called the Fifth Dimensional Lemuro-Atlantean Great War, between, again, the imperialist Aurelian Atlanteans and the enlightened Fifth Dimensional Lemurians. The advanced civilizations of Lemuria/Mu in the Indian and Pacific Oceans and Pacific coastal regions of North America are approached by their peers, the Aurelian Atlanteans, who propose that the Atlanteans and Lemurians join together to dominate the less developed civilizations, which the fifth dimensional Lemurians not only refuse, believing they should be left alone to continue evolving at their own pace, but forbid the Aurelian Atlanteans from doing it, beginning a series of thermonuclear wars across the third, fourth, and fifth dimension that would erode the fifth dimensional Lemurians' ability to shift between these dimensions at will. First becoming fourth dimensional Lemurians, and then third dimensional Lemurians that would devastate the continents of Atlantis and Lemuria/Mu. And when it ended, there were no winners. Now, really quick to note, that's basically the exact same thing we heard from Edgar Casey, except she adds the fact that, like, the Lemurians are degrading in their, like, supernatural ability. They're, like, no longer able to experience other dimensions because they're not, like, spiritually woke enough or whatever. But it's also, you got to keep in mind, these Lemurians, I believe, are a hybrid of different species of alien humans, including Pleiadians, like alien Nords, and all sorts of other weird shit. The people, through their priesthood, are informed both continents will be destroyed, and petition Shambhala the Lesser, the Aurelian Hyperborean city, then in charge of the Agartha network. So Hyperborea is Arctic Atlantis. And often the Hollow Earth, which includes Agartha, is said to be accessible through the poles. So if this is the North Pole continent, that means they went to Agartha, I guess. For permission to build a city under Mount Shasta. This is a big Atlantis, Lemuria, weirdo thing, which is a real-life mountain in California, I believe. The Agartha network being an underground confederation maintaining peace, cooperation, and non-aggression in the underworld, consisting of about 120 cities of light, mostly Hyperboreans, with the third-dimensional Lemurian with 4 third-dimensional Lemurian and 2 Aurelian Atlantean cities, among others. In order to be granted permission, they had to prove to many agencies such as the Galactic Confederation of Planets. So they're just throwing like Star Trek, and like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the idea of a Galactic Federation or Confederation or whatever, or Republic, I think that does go before Star Trek aired, but I don't know. There's just insane shit. So it's, oh man, there's so much. I'm gonna try and hurry up. Beginning of the 5th one. So this is between the Rama Empire, which is white people in 2000s internet, I think, misunderstanding claims about the Hindu god king Rama's mythical reign, and saying, oh, there was the Rama Empire, there's the Empire of Rama, and they had like Vimana, which were like space airships, and the Kuishana Atlanteans, who are kind of interesting because um, there's not much to say from what I understand of them, but because they derive some of their technology and terminology from the Atlanteans of Dweller on Two Planets, this 17-year-old's like fever dream, Atlantis Lemuria fanfic, sci-fi thing that later inspired a lot of Atlantis stuff, where like they've got these weird names and Africa's called Necropan and there's all sorts of just weird shit and airships that go like can circumnavigate the Earth in 30 fucking seconds or something. Or 30 minutes. I don't know. It's insane. It's cool. It's really cool, but it's also insane, and it's not readable, and it's probably very racist. So maybe it's not that cool. But yeah, these guys are kind of related to those guys, sort of. They're placed earlier in the timeline, I think. But they also have the same kind of weird named airships called Veilx, Vailx, and plural is that with an I at the end. Veilxi? I don't know how the fuck you call it, but I'll figure it out. And then, so you got to keep in mind, right? We are currently around like 10,000 BC. The fifth dimensional, or I guess it's still like. And now it's third dimensional. But the thermonuclear wars are still going on. There's still multiple, end of the fourth. So see, the fourth was still going on. So the fifth, between the Aurelian Atlanteans remnants of third dimensional Lemuria, the final nuclear catastrophe destroys both of their lands. And tragically, only 25,000 third dimensional Lemurians are able to flee to their new city of Telos. This is another city that you see in a million claims, and it's always different. With most of the third-dimensional Lemurians perishing in the cataclysm, simply because the time given for the final destruction of Aurelian, Lemuria, and Mu was wrong by a few days too many. Though the records of Lemuria were preserved, and several temples built already, a city built for 200,000 people was now a lonely, melancholic place of 25,000. The survivors maintaining a nation calling itself Telos that stretched from British Columbia down to Southern California and into the southwest of North America, as told by Aurelia, Weirdo Lady. Now we have begun the Sixth War. Keep in mind, I'm pretty sure there's still wars going on. I could be wrong. And also, this is not all of the Atlantis sinkings. This all needs to be kind of the connective tissue. This is something I stole from an anime fan fiction wiki article. So I don't know what this is a fan fiction of. Maybe nothing. Maybe it's just a hypothetical anime. So, beginning of the Sixth Lemuro-Atlantean Great War, or Cassiopean-Lemuro-Atlantean Great War, between, again, the imperialist Cassiopean-Atlantean Empire and anti-imperialist Lemurian Republic. See, now it's explicitly a republic. With both their Gaian tribe allies, I assume that means human earthlings, because I think the Cassiopeans might be humans, but they're not Earth humans, and alien allies from the solar system and surrounding space. During the ongoing fifth period, so the fifth is still going on. During the ongoing fifth Lemuro-Atlantean Great War. One of the most disastrous of the antediluvian period cataclysms, bringing famine to a nearly global scale, destroying one of Earth's moons, rendering parts of Atlantis and Lemuria uninhabitable for millennia via nuclear radiation, an atmospheric turn-off or burn-off, causing worldwide meteorological and geological cataclysms, and forced several species to either flee their homeworlds for the skies or seek shelter beneath the surface, as described by Artist of the Daleks. So that's a thing. And then the war ends, and it was a part of a bigger space war anyways, but the Lemuro-Atlantean War is just one theater of the Great Cassiopean War, whatever that was. They didn't really elaborate. The Lemurian Republic and the Atlantean Empire, neither willing to concede to the other, we can always see hubris is always enemies, have destroyed their lands. The lands of their Gaian allies rendered Mars uninhabitable, and caused these Cassiopean Lemurians and Atlanteans, like the aliens caught up in this theater of the war, to flee either underground or to the skies. Aw, poor guys. And then the fifth finally ends. So Rama Empire and Kuishana Atlanteans, they're done fighting. Why is that? The Rama Empire brings cataclysm to the Kuishana Atlanteans and themselves, unleashing divine weapons akin in power to nuclear bombs. So not literal nukes this time, just divine weapons that are like nukes, sinking Kuishana Atlantis and devastating the Rama Empire. Rama's empire, ruler of Eurasia, Kumari Kingdom, and most of Lemuria, splits before fading relatively quickly. However, secret brotherhoods of survivors hide and maintain the machines and airships of the Kuishana Atlanteans and Rama Empire, keeping some of their Vimanas and Veil Sea spaceship things, in secret caverns in Tibet, Central Asia, and the Lopner Desert in China, as the airships were meant to last. I was joking with my aunt. I'm like, yeah, don't worry. When the nuclear wars come, we can just count on the secret brotherhoods to give us the airships, and then we'll all be able to fly to Mars. We'll be fine then. End of the seventh Lemuro-Atlantean Great War. A nuclear catastrophe devastates the continents of Lemuria and Atlantis, as well as civilizations on Mars and Venus, according to the Chronicles of Akator. At the city of Akator and below the border between the Andes and Amazon basin of South America, cosmically originating in the book by Carl Brugger, who's probably racist, in 1976, told to him by Tatunka Nara, really Hans Gunther Hawk, a German guy pretending to be an American Indian chieftain. The Brugger civilizations had airships and nuclear weapons. Yeah, so there was just a war going on, and this is just when it ended. I don't even know if, I don't even think there's like a starting point that's given for this. So this is, I mean, maybe there is, but this is, this is the you know the lost city and Crystal Skull, the Crystal Skull myth, stuff like that. A lot of that is originated in this Carl Brugger, racist colonialist. Oh, Atlanteans, oh, blah, blah, blah. No, and they're like, oh, the Inca are relatives of the Uga Mogulala tribe, and they have magic powers, and I don't fucking know, it's retarded. Here's another war that ends and begins at the same time. It was around 6,000 BC, so about 8,000 years ago. Beginning and end, and this is actually the last one too that has been added so far. Beginning and end of 8th Lemuro-Atlantean Great War between the Lemurian serpent-being humans. So these are humans, but they have snake eyes. That's it. They don't have snake faces. They just have snake eyes. And the Floridian Atlantean giants. The Floridian Atlantean giants, a very tall lineage of humans, arrives to the continent of Atlantis from their homeland on the coasts of Florida, inheriting the technological advancement of the serpent-being Lemurian humans of Mu, but holding greater ambitions. They also spread to the Strait of Gibraltar in North Africa and Iberia, Europe. For a while, both cultures share domination of Earth, but the Atlanteans wanted, see, this is like the third time or fourth time we've seen this, wanted to control Earth absolutely. Tensions grow, leading to the Lemuro-Atlantean Great War. The Lemurians were not warriors, but the Atlanteans were. Before the final battle, a Lemurian serpent-being human named Noah. Now, a note about this particular group of Lemurians. I believe I got this information from a wacky Spanish wiki that I had to Google translate, and I'm sure it was a very poor translation. But I think this is the weird one where they're like, oh yeah, there were human souls in an alternate universe called Doll, and the Archangel Michael like reincarnated their souls in this universe or something, and like the kingdom of heaven is in the universe of Doll or so. I don't fucking know. It's insane. But you know, but okay, before the final battle, a Lemurian serpent being human named Noah receives a vision from Yahweh, an aspect of the Abrahamic god Yahweh, telling him to build a ship and collect samples of all living things of Lemuria and Atlantis. The final battle dawned. In their eagerness to achieve their goal, the Atlanteans had used a type of energy prohibited due to its great power. Nearly as soon as the final battle began, it was over. That energy caused great natural disasters, earthquakes hitting the planet, great tidal waves, volcanic eruptions, sea covered both continents. In the end, large territories besides disappeared definitively at the bottom of the sea. Noah, the human serpent being of Mu/Lemuria, was one survivor. The planet changed, and the arrogance of a few put an end to what the Lemurian serpent beings and Atlantean Floridians had built. And then, yeah. So what have we learned here? Seeing just a small sample of these whack job conspiracy theories. Well, what we have learned is that people are fucking retards, and I am also a retard. Now, I'm not the kind of retard who believes in Atlantis. I'm the kind of retard who spends all of his life researching it and compiling it all into a map. Now, there are many Atlantises here that you did not see there. In fact, how many of these have even been? Oh, here's some of the Cassiopean ones. Any of these been in a world war with Lemuria? Casey's Atlantis. So the Casey Atlanteans, according to this, had atomic crystals. Well, they had atomic power and they had magic crystals. And then, is there any more that exploded that like blew themselves up? There's a lot of Atlantises, and not all of them blew themselves up, or some of them did, but that doesn't mean they fought Lemuria. You can see there's just there's Fairyland that's relatively intact, and then the rest of Atlantis is just Gungus Islands, broken upon the land itself, which is pretty funny, but not really, but kind of. It depends. It depends. It depends. If it was real, it would be horrifying. But because Atlantis is not real, it is okay to make fun of the Atlanteans. Here's Lemuria. I haven't worked on that as much. And then here is Western Atlantic. Very big. Are there any of these that you can see some DC Atlanteans. Got more Cassiopean bullshit. You got a bunch of sword and sorcery shit over here, basically. You got Grungite. You know, you always gotta have Grungite. Black Sun. This is the first one. The Black Sun miniature Vietnam Cambodia game. You got a bunch of Blungos. Always gotta have the Blungos. Yeah, there's a lot of these. There's so many. It's kind of upsetting. It's kind of racist. It's kind of racist how many Atlantises there are. Why? I don't know. But it just is. Because I said so. Alright. Well, I've got company coming. But one thing I will show you is this. You see how cool these inner seas of Africa are, and their cool names? That's because I stole them from a cool artist who decided to make an Atlantis map set in northern Africa generally, and it's also set around the same time as my D&D campaign. If I take the dating that the person who made that map that I stole, Grammatiker, if they, I think they said circa like 4500 BC, that's about when this takes place. So they are a rising empire, and I have added them to the map because I steal everything. I steal everything. I steal 4chan memes that I hate. I steal Nazi shit and I corrupt it. You know, I turn it into gay shit. Anyways, I gotta go. Bye bye.